Thank you, Kevin. To kick off STORE this year and really set the stage for the next few days, I have the great pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker, Michael Medline, President, Canadian Tire Corporation. Michael is responsible for overseeing the operations of all Canadian Tire Corporation business units, including Canadian Tire, Financial Services, FGL Sports and Marks, as well as Corporate Affairs and Technology. Michael has had an impressive 13-year career with Canadian Tire, having played a significant role in helping the company stay on offense through innovative thinking and strong industry knowledge. Michael and his team are looking at not only what is happening in their business today, but reimagining the business of the future, from growing an emotional connection between consumers and the company to building the most digital retail store in Canada. I highly recommend you visit the replica of their West Edmonton Mall store that's set up just outside the entrance to see, touch, feel the digital innovations firsthand. As Michael noted, the future is not a battle between in-store and online, but instead the convergence of the two as we integrate the physical and digital worlds to enhance the customer experience and customer loyalty. Please welcome on stage our Vice Chair of Retail Council of Canada, Mr. Michael Medline.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Deanne. You know, I've been associated with Retail Council of Canada now many years, and I think it's the best industry association in Canada, and much of the credit has to go to Deanne. Let's put it together for Deanne Brisebois, who does such a great job. Thank you to the RCC for having me here today, and thank you for all of you for attending the conference. I also want to thank Samsung, who is sponsoring the speech today. Now, usually after I speak, I have to apologize. I have to apologize for things I said. I've decided I'm going to apologize for 3 things before I begin to speak today. The first is the topic name. It's always hard to pick a topic name. You know, and so we come up here with competing at the speed of retail. I have no idea what that means. I have no idea. But the problem was, well, the problem was that the future of retail was taken about 100,000 times. So I had nothing else to fall back on but speed of retail. And that's what I want to speak about today. And you know, it's not the future of retail. The future is here. Really, the topic is the present of retail. We're in the future now, and we got to stop just talking about the future. We got to live it. The second apology I'm going to make is that I'm going to mention Canadian Tire and a family of companies, including Marks, including FGL Sports and Sport Chek, a number of times today. I'm going to also mention many of your companies and great retailers out there. I'm going to mention you as well. But you got to forgive me. I know Canadian Tire the best, so I'm going to use Canadian Tire as an example many times. And the third and most important, some of you may feel a little depressed at certain times in the speech today, a little down. I'll warn you at those times that you may be feeling a little down, but do not worry, we will pick it back up. You're going to feel real good by the end. But if you do not like change, if you do not want to evolve, this is not the speech for you. Because that's what we're going to talk today about, evolution. So okay, let's get this show started now. Everyone is talking about innovations in e-com, but we should not underestimate the innovation that is happening in bricks and mortar stores. There is a massive sea change going on in retail, not just in how people shop, but how they live their lives and what they expect from their brands, their stores, from us. We're going to hear all about market disruptors like Amazon. They do a great job serving the needs of the customers. They don't cut corners, and that's why they do so well. But we're going to have to, as mostly bricks and mortar retailers, disrupt our own business. That is a very difficult thing to do, is to disrupt your own business. People don't like change. They don't want the unexpected. They don't like to disrupt. But you know, it's coming at us. We have no choice. By 2017, experts predict that we'll be processing payments from our car dashboards. Now, having driven in today, that's a scary thought, but it's going to happen. We're also going to have drones, as you saw, delivering. That's what we're hearing about. And 2 weeks ago, the first successful drone delivery of a pizza was made. But I don't think pizza is really as Canadian as I was like today. So today we're going to have a drone deliver Timbits. That's Canadian. I do not think this is the future of delivering through a drone. Now, who's hungry? Who wants some Timbits? Oh, here you go. See, I don't want these flying around and bashing me in the head all the time. So there you go. But Timbits and Canadian Tire, that's Canadiana. And that's how we're going to have to deliver things to people in the way they want to do that. You know, I was a little nervous about having the drone come out here because my general counsel was warning me about liability hitting somebody in the head. And now I know what she was talking about. On the surface, retail may not look like a great business model. For many people, it may appear to be a really bad time to be in retail. You have to invest heavily in real estate. You've got e-com and mobile coming at you. Consumers want the lowest prices, and they can get those prices off their personal devices. And you have paper flyers while you're also developing online and digital flyers. And you know, it's not as easy anymore as build it and they will come. Behind me are images of New South China Mall. It was supposed to be the largest mall in the world at 7 million square feet. Today, it sits as a ghost town in Dongguan, China. It sits basically empty, a white elephant. And that's not just happening in China. These images are of Ohio's Randall Park Mall. Empty. Now, Canadian Tire, like everyone here, like all of us, still has a ways to go in terms of change, in terms of evolving into the new world. I think of it a little bit like a golf swing or a baseball swing. You now have to have feet in both worlds, and you've got to be shifting your weight. So whereby the back foot used to be the old world, you now have to be shifting to the new world. Now, if you shift too slow, you know what the problem is if you swing. If you shift too fast, you know what's going to be a problem. So you have to be shifting at the right speed, but you better be shifting. And this is not for the faint of heart. It's not for the faint of heart. But for those who embrace change, who can start shifting to the new world, this is going to be a more efficient and productive industry to be in retail. It's going to be a great business for the winners and for the survivors. Winners will be retailers big and small, willing to dream big, act quickly, and embrace the future like we've never done before. To me, it's the most exciting time ever to be in retail. Retailers in Canada employ 2.1 million people, second only to healthcare in this country. This is an important industry, and you can't pick up a newspaper or read online without seeing something about retail. This was not the case when I joined Canadian Tire a number of years ago. You wouldn't even read about retail. But the fact that we're having incursions of large retailers entering Canada, the fact there's M&A activity, but most importantly, because it is the battleground for technological breakthroughs. So you're reading and hearing and seeing a lot about retail. So it's exciting, but it requires us to make major shifts. And we're getting there. You know, I've traveled the world visiting best-in-class retail, and I'm often in awe of what I see. Retailers embracing change. Today, I'm going to share some key learnings we've had at Canadian Tire, and from what I've seen from so many of you. Retailers reimagining their business, the wins out there. I'm going to talk about the views on the trends and the strategies we will need to compete and to win. For me, it comes down to 4 key areas. The first is be nimble, maybe our most important competitive advantage. The second is dream big, but act fast. Innovation is happening so fast that we can't keep track of it. We can no longer work like we have in the past. The third is be personal. What do I mean by that? Customers expecting a more personal relationship with brands and banners. Customers wanting us in their communities, a personalized experience, and through all that, and with all the technology, people are more important than ever. And the fourth, and none of this happens without the fourth, is shifting our cultures. We have to shift culture. We have to make that massive change. So let's start with the importance of being nimble first. You know, you can't maintain the status quo while we vet and analyze every single decision. I think back a couple of years when we were planning the new lab store for Sport Chek at Yonge and Eglinton. How would we have done that in the old world? Well, we would have built a deck, and we would have called it the future of retail and the store of the future. We would have worked on that deck. We would have made all sorts of iterations of it. We would have taken it to our executive team. When they were happy, we take it to our board. Then we take it out to a place we call Retail City, where we would build it out in full without any customers there and test it and move things around. When we were really happy about that, we would go and test market a store. We'd put that store far away where nobody could see it, our competitors couldn't see it. And when that store worked, well, that's just one market. We got to test another market. And then if everything went well, we'd roll it out. That was the old way of doing business. We would analyze to death, and you know we could get away with it because change was coming slowly at us. You can't do that today. If you do, you're out of time by the time you execute. So what did we do? Instead of testing everything and discussing, we moved faster, more iterations, quicker, and we put up a store at Yonge and Eglinton that was our test store, open to customers, and it was fantastic. And I think Canadians, I have a theory that Canadians as a whole are very good at being nimble. And I'll tell you why I think that. We have great homegrown retail talent. Many of you out there work for or run homegrown talent, which is so great. But at the same time, we face some of the greatest and largest retailers in the world. And they do a very good job, and we have respect for them. But this is a big country with a disparate population. It's spread across a large expanse. In Canada, Canadian Tire is a big company, a big retailer. But really, we're not that big in the whole global scheme. So we need to be nimble. We need to fight in a different way, and we have to adjust and evolve. And so for the survivors and those who have thrived in the face of this great competition, have done very well. And you think about Malcolm Gladwell's book, David and Goliath. Fantastic book. And it talks about having to do battle against the big opponents. And that's what Canadian retailers have had to do. We're not going to beat those big retailers who do such a good job by trying to have scale on them or try to beat them at their own game. Instead, we have to adjust. We have to fight a little differently. We have to act like the Olympians behind me who are nimble and can move quickly. And really what we're fighting at the end of the day is a guerrilla war, because we're smaller and we've got to be faster and we've got to do things different. Being nimble means constantly trying and learning. So I talked about the lab store of Sport Check up at Yonge at Eglinton in Toronto. And you know, there were many global firsts in there. That was one of the most digital, if not the most digital store in the world when it was built. So some global firsts, and we did it quickly. But we also were okay to make some mistakes. Not everything in that first store worked. You can't be scared of mistakes. You can't be scared of failure. So we had to test and learn, and we had to do it fast. And that led us to the West Edmonton Mall store, which I'll talk about in a minute. Now, digital, which some of us see as an opponent, it's not an opponent. It allows us to be more nimble. Look, the paper flyers and paper catalogs have been very, very good to us. And Canadian Tire, as you know, probably has the most effective flyer program in the world. At Canadian Tire, we produce and distribute 650 million flyers a year. That's 26 billion flyer pages a year. Those flyers would fill this ballroom 6.5 times over. So let's examine that process and how clunky it's been, even though it's been an amazing weapon in our arsenal. But just think about the whole process, and then think about the decisions those of you who have flyers out there have to make. Months and months ahead of time, you have to decide on the product, commit to it, source it. You have to guess what the weather's going to be, and that's a hard thing on its own. You may have bathing suits for sale, and they'd be on the front page of the flyer in a blizzard, as might have happened this winter. Then you've got to print the flyer, you distribute it to millions of households, and after a few days, you put it in the blue box. You know, that was a great tool in our toolbox. But it's just not efficient as we go forward. There's got to be other ways and other tools we have. It's actually, when you think about it, a little bit ridiculous. I think when we look at it 10 years from now, we'll look back and think, okay, paper flyers are good, but we also have to have digital flyers. So things will change. And let me give you an example of something we're proud of at Canadian Tire. We started testing a digital flyer. Now, when we first started talking about digital flyer in this industry, it was, let's take a picture of the flyer and put it online, just a picture of it. Well, we all know by now that is not the most creative way to do business, nor did it work. So what we've done at Sport Check, and we've been testing it this year, and we're currently in a test right now, is we put the flyer online, but in a different way. We took the paper flyer and all the products we sourced, and we put them in disparate ways out online. So if the Easton hockey stick was on the front cover of a paper flyer, it's now in Facebook or Google. It's all out there on Instagram, and we can use all these tools to push products in a different and more flexible way, and that is the key, is the flexibility of a digital flyer. So if it is snowing and we're going to have bathing suits, don't put the bathing suits online, and you can make that choice the night before. In fact, our marketers are getting so good at it that when they tested it, they noticed that there was going to be a huge snowstorm in the Maritimes, that most stores are going to be closed. So they took all their spending in the Maritimes and moved it to the GTA for the next couple of days. The stores were closed in the Maritimes. There was not wastage of dropping a paper flyer when stores weren't even open, and sales in the GTA popped. So you've got to be seasonally relevant and socially relevant with the flyer. Digital flyer is a great weapon. But you know, pulling one flyer, just one flyer, the first time we did it, pull one paper flyer, the merchants want to tear their hair out. This is hard cultural change. Why? Because you know what a paper flyer is going to do every time you drop it. You know what it did the year before. And then you've just got to pray that you pick the right products at the right prices and that the weather worked for you. So we're going to be out of our comfort zone when we're trying this. but it makes us nimble and makes us successful. So we tested this in market. We tested the digital flyer, and we continue to test it. You know, we don't really care about likes. Forget about shares. Let's not even talk about eyeballs. We want to meet customers' needs, and we want to drive sales. That's the game we play in. And the first time we tested the digital flyer, the weather was not conducive. We were feeling kind of bad about it. It was going to show that sales were down. But instead, what we saw was incredible improvement in sales. Sales went up 12% overall at Sport Chek. In the 2-week period, we would have had the paper flyer, and instead we had digital. 12% and 23% on promoted items. Fantastic result, which means we'll keep doing it. And Sheryl Sandberg, the COO of Facebook, in her Q1 conference call, cited Sport Chek as the most progressive digital retailer that they were dealing with because of our work on digital flyer. So it allows us to be nimble. Now on to my second point, dream big. Look, I'm not worried about the future of bricks and mortar. Over the next days, you will hear all about showrooming and huge gains in online. You're going to hear about smart TV and mobile phones. But the death of bricks and mortar, I'm here to say, is greatly exaggerated. Bricks and mortar companies want e-com capabilities. E-com companies want bricks and mortar capabilities. At Canadian Tire, we believe there is a great future for bricks and mortar, and we're putting our money where our mouth is. At Sport Chek alone, we're putting up 2 million square feet. It's hard to imagine 2 million square feet. But if you look up on the screens, you'll see hockey rink. And if you put all those hockey rinks together, that's what 2 million square feet is. So we're committing to 50% growth just at Sport Chek in the 5-year period. But you know, we need to be good at both. We can't just be good at bricks and mortar anymore. We have to put huge resources and time and money behind e-com and the new world. And you know what? That's going to help us in store as well. When someone comes in looking for that tire or looking for that green pair of Adidas shorts in medium, and we don't have that tire or that green shorts, which sometimes occurs, we can use those e-com capabilities in the store with a passionate and knowledgeable staff to sell and make sure customers don't walk. There's a convergence between bricks and mortar and e-com. And you know, ultimately, people still love to go shopping. It's a social activity. It's an important part of life. It builds memories. I can't tell you how many times people come up to me and say, I bought my first bike, I bought my first pair of hockey sticks at Canadian Tire. It's an important part of their life. So online can complement. It can be a great tool, but it will not replace. It will not replace if we do our jobs right. It's up to us. Can we excite customers and draw them into stores and get them off the couch where it's too easy to buy now? Can we give the personalized, expert, passionate service that our customers expect and want and need to come to the stores? You know, I want to give some examples here of some of the stores I love. So the first, which many of you will hear of, is Burberry on Regent Street in London. This is a 156-year-old brand, a 192-year-old building, digitally intuitive store. Beautiful digital, beautiful merchandising. And it was one of the first places I saw great use of RFID. So you put a product on a table, and up comes the product on a big screen, all the specs of the product, all the details, but also accessories that could go with that product. Very well done. The store also has the world's tallest retail screen at 22 square feet. And I've got screen envy of 22 feet. I want a 23-foot screen in one of our stores. This thing is so beautiful. Their store associates have tablets. They log customer purchase history and preferences. They use the tablets not just for show, but to make the customers time better and more enjoyable. But you know, digital is only part of the story for retail. There are other ways to excite customers. Bass Pro Shop is one of the ones that come to my mind when I think of retailers doing a great job creating an emotional connection with customers. At Bass Pro Shop, you feel you're in the outdoors, camping and hunting and fishing. There aren't any digital screens that I remember. If there are, they're very few. But there's a big tank of local fish from that area. You can try the products, and you can feel what's going on in Bass Pro Shop. It doesn't have to be digital, but you have to have that emotional connection. Lululemon does it in a different way. Lululemon staff act as community ambassadors for their brand. The in-store environment and the authenticity is astounding. In the new environment, people are going to be more important than ever. If someone wants to come and buy a running shoe, it's not good enough to go behind the scenes and get them that running shoe. That's just more is expected today. Customers can get all that knowledge online before they ever enter your store. Instead, what you have to do is you've got to be able to talk about the product. You have to discuss its features. Do you pronate? How much do you run every week? Are you doing a race? Where are the best running trails? You have to be in a conversation with the customers, not just selling all the time. People expect different today. And you know, when you give a great and incredible experience in the stores, you increase your market share. And that's really important part of what I want to say today. We're all actually competing against each other. Canadian Tire isn't just competing against people who sell patio sets and barbecues and tires. Sport Chek isn't just competing against sports equipment retailers. And Marks isn't just competing against those who sell work boots and jeans and casual clothing. Consumers only have so much money in their pocket, and they want to spend it with the most exciting companies that give them the biggest connection. Now, how many of you have teenagers out here? How can we make teenagers more excited about shopping? I want to show you this incredible Wilson video about a product which takes sports and combines it with technology. And you can see what I mean about exciting your customers in terms of products and experience in the store and online. So that was an incredible product. Imagine a basketball that can tell you how you played. I'm glad when I played in high school that we didn't have that technology, because it would have said, "You're cut." You stink, buddy. But showcasing this interactive experience in store will get kids and all of us off the couch. It will drive our business. It's in store that brands can truly differentiate themselves, truly create excitement, and inspire that emotional connection with our customers. That's why some of the great brands in the world, like Nike and Adidas, put world-first installations in our flagship stores at Sport Chek and build their own flagship stores to showcase their brands. Now, let me give you a glimpse into a store we're really proud of. It came from that lab store I talked to you about trying things out. This store is located in Edmonton at West Edmonton Mall. It's 80,000 square feet of the best digital content in the world, combined with showcasing the best brands in the world like Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, Bauer, etc. Let me show you the video.
Is celebrating its brand new store at West Edmonton Mall.
Our vision is to be the ultimate sport experience in retail.
And it may just be the evolution of retail. Sport Check opened its new interactive flagship store at West Edmonton Mall.
Sport Check is calling the new location the most technologically advanced sporting goods store in North America, potentially on the planet. I can't tell you how many times I went to West Edmonton Mall specifically to go there, and it was full. So it's nice to have it back.
There you go. You have to check it out.
So that's a glimpse into the West Edmonton store. It's hard to even put into a video because the store has such power. But what we have done here for everyone who's at the conference is we have set up a bit of a replica in 3,000 square feet of much of the digital that we have in West Edmonton. And we've staffed it with fantastic staff members. So if you go down that hall and turn left, right there is a mock-up of our store in West Edmonton. I think you're going to find it fantastic. And you'll be able to talk to our staff and ask questions. But there are things in there like RFID shoe walls. You can bike the Tour of France if you want in there. There's an exciting Nike shoe display, on and on and on. We've put it all into 3,000 square feet. In fact, we put that up in 2.5 days. A year ago, that would have taken us 2 or 3 months to put up and make sure the digital was all right and all that was working. And don't worry, there are no drones in there. You'll be safe. But in 2.5 days, we could put that up, which makes me believe that the pop-up store, with the power of digital, can go up almost simultaneously with an event going on. So we've been having conversations about that, because when you see that store, you'll understand what I'm talking about. The third area, which is crucial to success in this new era, is be personal. The old shipping and distribution model is under siege. Amazon and eBay doing a great job, and they continue to innovate and grow. And if you saw a couple weeks back, there was an interesting and very smart partnership between Amazon and Twitter to drive impulse purchases. When you're on Twitter, you like something you see, you can click on it, in some cases, and buy directly from Amazon. Very smart. But you know, we know about these competitors, but we can hardly imagine the competitor of the future. In my thinking, it will probably be best-in-class bricks and mortar combined with innovative best-in-class e-com. A bricks and mortar e-com combo will probably be what customers need and want. And you know, when we have to look at our current infrastructure, we have to make it relevant. Local e-commerce, that last 15 minutes, the last 15 minutes is the most expensive and most difficult, and in many cases, the most important to our customers. At Canadian Tire, we have 1,700 sites across our family of companies. We are within 15 minutes of almost every Canadian. And that's why the 15 minutes and bricks and mortar go together very well. In this country, with a spread-out population, with this vast expanse of this great country, being close to the customer is going to be critical in bricks and mortar and in e-commerce. And you know, others are thinking the same way. Macy's is thinking the same way. Macy's is doing a great job in digital. If you go to Manhattan, I would advise you to go to the first floor of their flagship store. Very digitally advanced. But they're also, surprisingly, the 10th largest internet company. CEO Terry Lundgren has attributed this to the fact that Macy's has 658 DCs, which are really stores, compared to Amazon's paltry 84. So a vast network giving cost savings and rapid delivery to the customer. New World, people are more important than ever, not less important because of technology. Service and expertise, but also in the community. Great brands are not one-dimensional. Trusted brands are not that different from a close friend. Customers expect their beloved retailers to be there when they need them and to be aligned to their values and their aspirations. An example is when a community is in a crisis. The residents look to brands like retailers to help them out and to inspire them in the bad times. They expect retailers and all companies to be ethical and transparent. At Canadian Tire, we're well positioned to serve the community because of our dealer model of business. At Canadian Tire, a dealer runs each one of our stores. It's a major competitive advantage. It gives Canadian Tire roots in every community across this country. So during the ice storm, people needed salt, they needed shovels, they needed generators, and they needed them fast, and it was urgent. And they turned to Canadian Tire, and we ordered, and our merchants went out and they sourced product, and we got salt when no one else had it, and our dealers got it to the customers. And people would line up for generators. And in one case, in Toronto, we were waiting for the new shipment of generators to come in, and customers were waiting for them. And it was taking a little longer than expected. So the store manager said to the people waiting, why don't we go across the street? And he bought them a hot dinner at Boston Pizza when they didn't have any power at home to cook dinner for themselves. That's what we talk about being rooted in the community. When the floods in Calgary occurred, dealers going into the communities, bringing supplies, staff at stores helping out. That's what's expected. And at Canadian Tire, like many of you do, we help out in the communities in other ways. At Canadian Tire, we have Jumpstart Charities. We've helped over 720,000 kids participate in sports and recreation they otherwise wouldn't be able to participate in. You know, community involvement is no longer a nice to have. It's important to customers. It builds truly emotional connection with our customers, and we need our customers to be our brand ambassadors. That's what it's all about. The fourth area, and so important to making all this a success, is to make sure that you can have a massive cultural shift to adjust to the new world in your stores and in your company. Change needs huge cultural change. And you all know, we all know, how tough it is to move the inertia of the status quo, of what we're comfortable with. Change, though, has to start here. It has to start at the leadership team level. We, as leaders, have to be committed to an emotional connection with our customers through new media and technology, as well as the old way of doing business. Look, as you can tell, I'm not that young of a guy. I'm not out there writing code. I'm not installing digital screens. And if your laptop is on the fritz, I am definitely not the guy to come to. But I've learned to embrace change, and we all have to do so. I know we have to have a great technology team at Canadian Tire. We have to make sure that IT and marketing become best friends. That's something that wasn't important 5 years ago. We have to understand where the customer wants us to go, and we have to get there fast. We have to get there in a good way for the customer. We have to embrace a test-and-learn culture, and most of all, we have to try things. Keep trying things. That's the way you evolve. Now, at Canadian Tire, we've had to infuse the C-suite with Gen X talent that is comfortable with the new way of doing business, with digital and e-commerce. 2/3 of our SVPs and above at Canadian Tire are Gen X now, not baby boomers. And the boomers are some of the most tech-savvy members of our executive team. Look, it's all just still retail, meeting customers' needs. You know, just like 100 years ago, the general store met the needs of Canadians across this great country. But the world has changed. We have new tools. We have powerful new tools we need to use and should use in the interests of our customers and to ensure that our businesses remain strong. But it all comes down to a culture that embraces change. Look, we don't have it all figured out at Canadian Tire. We, like you, are on a journey. But we've taken the first steps toward that journey, and that is the important part. And we have to keep going. I want to show you a short video now on how Canadian Tire, 92 years old, how our culture is changing.
I've worked in a lot of different companies and a lot of different organizations. This is the first time I've seen leadership from the top say that culture is one of the most important things to us and do whatever it takes to unlock the excitement and passion of our employees. And you just see overall performance in the entire place go through the roof when people come to work excited every morning.
We need all the best people in all the best roles. And the executive leadership under Stephen and Michael have really embraced that concept. The culture of Canadian Tire has never been better, and that's not by accident.
Come with me now. Come with me now. I'm gonna take you down.
Very few companies can really foster a very high energy, uncompromising, resilient culture to innovate and serve our customers. You look across the building, you look across the company, and there's energy everywhere for everything that we're doing.
It's an energy that makes you feel like you could literally do anything. And as a marketer, there's no place I'd rather be.
We're on this brand journey, been for the last couple of years, so it's exciting when you can all collaborate and everything you focus on is building this greater brand.
Everybody is starting to work a lot closer together. Lots of great ideas from all three banners, whether it's Sport Chek and Atmosphere or Marks and Canadian Tire. I mean, there's a lot of talented people out there.
I think people are really energized, excited about working here. They're really seeing all of the great things that Canadian Tire is doing.
And we're really encouraged to think of things differently and try new things. It's given us a lot more energy, and I think there's been a big boost in morale because we feel like we can make a difference in our company.
So shift culture. Now, digital strategy is taking our core competencies in retail and making those component pieces digital friendly. You know, digital is now touching every aspect of our company. In the old world, we negotiated rights for content and sponsorship, but only in Canada. Now that our content is on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, we need global agreements in place, a real shift. Our HR training programs need to be on the same platform as in-store mobile devices. And this all needs to be flawless and fully integrated. Buyers and merchandisers need to evolve a flexible supply chain to capitalize on timely sales strengthened by programs such as our digital flyer. So when a polar vortex hits, we need to ensure Canadians are turning to us for shovels and jackets. You know, it's not an easy time to be in retail. It's not. It's a disruptive time. Things are changing all the time. But disruption creates opportunities. If I could leave you with any thought today, it is change before you have to. We can all see where the world is going, where it's going to be in 5 and 10 years. We know that. But why be forced there late? Why not meet customers' expectations, or as much as we can, exceed them? All retailers will need to be nimble. We're going to need to dream big and act fast. We've got to act personal. And we have to surround ourselves with a team that can move fast, evolve, and shift the culture. Retail is an incredibly exciting place to be today. I couldn't be more thrilled to be part of this industry. And I know from working and talking with many of you, you're up to the challenge. Canada has lagged the US and Europe in retail innovation, especially digital innovation. But I believe this will change. Many of the best retailers of the world are already here. Combine that with homegrown Canadian retailers, this is a competitive and great market. I believe that we can be the most innovative retail market in the world because of our nimbleness. Thank you very much.